and you're listening to WNCU, the Triangle's only station for jazz and more. I'm DL, and we have a very special guest in the studio this afternoon. He's an NCCU alum. He has 18 albums to his credit, and his name is Marcus Anderson. How are you doing, Marcus?
How are you, DL? So what does that stand for? Like,
Absolutely.
delicate lady?
Okay, we'll go with that. But, you know, it was my alias when I was in college and I started doing radio.
Okay.
Wait,
yeah.
who's doing the interview here? But anyway, so when I started doing radio, I just came up with this alias. And then I started doing news and I had to have a name to go with it. So I made up this name. I'm actually Deidre Lassiter.
That works too.
Yeah. But I like delicate lady. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So, Marcus, you've been in this music game for a while now, and you were a student here at North Carolina Central University. You're from Spartanburg, South Carolina, right?
Yep,
that's right. 18 albums. You work with people like Prince and CeeLo Green, Stevie Wonder. So you have your own comic, and you're really into investing into the next generation. So when you look at the journey, does it look anything like what you imagined when you were a student here at NCCU, that you'd be in this spot in this moment right now?
A little bit. Not so much, I think, this aggressive. I thought I'd be in the entrepreneurial side, but it was more so on the performance and touring side. I know what I want to do as a musician, but the saturation of musicians and artists in the industry can be a lot. And I needed to find a way to stand out a little bit more, and then I needed to find a way, how do I make money? One thing they always talked about when I was a student here, like what would you do if you couldn't tour? And the touring dried up. Outside of teaching, I wanted to do just product stuff. So that's when I started venturing into like other things, like releasing my product line of the candles, the cologne, the car scent, the cigars and coffee and all that stuff. So, but I didn't foresee it being like this, being able to have my own foundation and then be able to give back this soon in my career. This was more like a 50s and 60s, retired Marcus. But a lot of it has come sooner than expected, but it's been a blessing from God. So I don't knock it at all. I just welcome it as it arrives.
And, I forgot to mention to our audience that you are performing at the John Coltrane International Blues and Jazz Festival on September 5th and 6th. So, what does John Coltrane's legacy mean to you?
Oh, man, that's history. I wasn't really as hip coming into college about like standards and like straight ahead jazz. I grew up playing in church and playing a lot of gospel music and R&B and, smooth jazz is what they say. But then when I got here and before I came, I just did like a hardcore listen of so many different players prior to getting to Central. And then when I got here and I was studying with Dr. Ira Wiggins and Brian Horton and with Branford, they just started getting me to listen to so much stuff. And then even Dr. Baron Timus, when he was here too, and they would just flood me with all this music. And of course, there was a lot of Charlie Parker, there was a lot of Cannonball Adderley, but John Coltrane was like the tenor player that they got me to listen to. And one of them. And then it was Dr. Wiggins that made the comparison between Kurt Whalum and John Coltrane. And he was like, well, Kurt studied a lot of Train, and that's where he got this sound from. And I started hearing it, and I'm like, oh, so in order to continue doing what I'm doing now, I have to go back and learn. So coming and learning about John Coltrane got me to understand he's laid a foundation for a lot of players prior to me and also prior to them. Like his sound was iconic. He revolutionized the sound and approach on how to play saxophone and changes and turnarounds and different patterns. Giant Steps is like one of the most, well-known, sought-out songs that most musicians try to play and conquer. And it's John Coltrane. Da, 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 da. Like you hear that, it's like, oh man, it's cool. Trying to play it, not so much. But Coltrane was, one of the players that really laid an incredible foundation for a lot of players of today, both on the sax and off it.
Okay. And one of my students asked me to ask you, if you could talk to John Coltrane, what would that conversation be about?
Ooh, if I could talk to him.
Yeah.
I would probably ask him what was his feelings and what was he thinking, or was he even thinking? What got him to play in the manner and the style that he did? Because I'm emotion based when I play my music. I always try to make sure I'm in a certain headspace and mindset so I can deliver not just the best like song, but the energy to the people, because that transfers over. But I definitely would want to know what was his mindset and like just how he felt.
Okay. And tell us a little bit more about like preparation and planning. So you have this festival coming up. So what does the 24 hours before the festival look like for you?
Packing, maybe golf. Well, but and the reason I say golf, and I laugh at it, I play a lot of golf now because it helps me. I found this lane where I can focus, relax, and reset. Golf is all about, the next shot, and then minimizing your mistakes. And you have to calm down, you have to focus, you have to slow down. If you hit a bad shot, how do you recover? And it just puts you in a mindset, puts you in a zen of like, all right, just stay calm. If anything freaks out, it happens, which it always happens on any show. You got to be prepared to adjust. Just the other week, I had a show where I had to do a pickup band. There was a band that was there that learned my music, and it wasn't as great, but I already knew that it could possibly go wrong, so I prepared mentally for that and had to stay calm and not freak out if they missed a note. The crowd honestly doesn't really notice it sometimes unless they're intense listeners, but it's all about, the day before, about how you prepare for what's going to happen on the day of the show.
Okay, absolutely. And with John Coltrane's festival coming up on the 5th and the 6th in Oak Hollow Festival Park in High Point, North Carolina, there are going to be some amazing names there. So will you be connecting with anyone and talking to them about, future collaborations or anything like that possibly?
Absolutely. I'd never miss an opportunity to collaborate with anyone. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So,
so you're taking them.
I'm always, anytime I'm in a room with somebody I can collab and work with, we're all, artists and musicians, and we all need to work together. Collaborations is really where it's at to keep the music industry and your career going.
Absolutely. So we're going to head to some music from Marcus Anderson right now. We have Back to Basics coming up. Keep your dials right here. You're listening to WNCU, the Triangle's only station for jazz and more. And you're listening to WNCU, the Triangle's only station for jazz and more. I'm DL, and in the studio with me this afternoon, the one and only Marcus Anderson. He's performing at the John Coltrane International Jazz and Blues Festival on September 5th and 6th in High Point, North Carolina at Oak Hollow Festival Park. It's such a pleasure to have you here, Marcus. How does it feel being on campus after all these years?
I love it. Sometimes I drive when I'm ever in Durham, I just go and park my car illegally in some spot because it's hard to find parking. And I just walk the campus. I'll go, to the bookstore and find stuff, or I'll walk and reminisce about, the verdant greens and sloping hills. So I always I love it. I just love seeing the energy of the campus life now. It was great back then, but I love seeing how the students have adopted the culture of being like a college student. I love seeing the maroon and gray and everything is just amazing. I go in and buy stuff, and I wish we had this when I was on campus like this, because they have so many beautiful upgrades they've done to the campus. But I just love coming back here.
Well, we're glad to have you here. So jumping back into your career, is there a song that you've written that represents a particular point in your life, like a turning point? And what was happening when you created it?
Let's see. I mean, it's a lot of catalog. So to go through a quick Rolodex, I would probably say what I have released. There's a song called No Worries that I wrote, and my older brother, Aaron Anderson, he always, told me like I used to worry. And I'm like, man, if I worry, you definitely worry, because I learned it from you. But he was like, yeah, it's just no worries, man. So I wrote a song. It was No Worries, and it was just da 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 da. And it was based off of just kind of taking life easy. Things happen. Well, don't worry about it. Just no worries. So a lot of times, if someone says, man, everything's good, yo, no worries, no worries. I say it a lot. So I just kind of adopted that phrase or that mindset to just not stress out about things because life is going to happen, but still got the air in my lungs. I got my limbs. I can walk around and I can feed myself. So there's no worries.
Okay. So you performed alongside a lot of really, really well-known artists like Stevie Wonder, CeeLo Green, Sheila E., Anthony Hamilton, Jennifer Holliday, and a lot of other artists. So when you're working with someone at that level, what separates a great sideman or a collaborator from someone who's just a great musician?
I think in the support role of like an artist like the ones you just mentioned, you have to think about how do I make them look even better? Like how do I hold them up higher? By yourself, I mean, you're definitely going to be great, but when you're on stage and you're performing with people, you got to do stuff that enhances the person in front of you. So in order to lead, you got to follow. Following like Prince on stage and following like Sheila E., I would always kind of keep them in my peripheral. I'm a big performer, so a lot of things I do are visual, but I try to not step in front of the main act or the main character unless they welcome me to the stage. I have to be invited to the front of the stage. At that moment, then it's up to me to do my part. And once I do my best, I fall back. The biggest thing is just, showing up when you're supposed to, know the music, and really listen to what the artist is saying within the music and watch what they're doing on stage, because the performance has changed from show to show. It's not going to be the same. It's not a plug and play, and you have to be sensitive to that. Almost like when you go to church, you got to be sensitive to the atmosphere and the music and what's happening on stage with the musician. And the main person that matters more than the audience is the person that's leading the band.
Okay, so we're talking about these artists. So Stevie Wonder. What have you learned from like watching Stevie Wonder? Like, what do you take with you from your interactions with having worked with him?
Man, that was.
And we can say Prince too. So either one of them.
It was at the same time. So when I was working with Stevie, it was it was through Prince when we did the Obamas last year at the White House. We celebrated Barack Obama during that time, and we got invited to the White House, and Stevie Wonder was there, and I got to meet and hang out with him pretty much for like 2 days. And we performed at the White House and then performed again in D.C. at a theater. And we got to have dinner with Stevie afterwards, too. And just kind of sitting with him and chatting with him and studying his whole career. He's always just reinventing himself musically. He's always pushed the envelope. A lot of things are happening musically on how we create music. But even back then, they looked at Stevie like he was crazy because he was messing around with synthesizers. And now there isn't a show or a place you can go where no one's not using a synthesizer. And there's a lot of, talk and conversation about AI and all this stuff. But like, I don't know if Stevie would or wouldn't use it, but knowing someone like a Stevie or even like a Miles Davis, they were always progressive in trying to either be ahead of the curve, or maybe it wasn't even trying, or just reinventing themselves. So Stevie's he was an incredible artist that his music took him so many different places because he expanded his reach with trying to create music.
Okay. So speaking of reinvention, you have 18 albums. So how do you reinvent yourself for these albums over and over again creatively? I'm
always a student. I'm never not a student of life. I'm never not a student of learning. Even now, I started, my coffee business like 11 years ago. And then shortly after that, I had my Coffee Jazz Festival. We had it here on campus for a few years. I think I find things that I like, and I try to figure out a way, how do I take this and like put it into like something I can deliver to the people. And I feel like that always just keeps me reaching for like, what else do I like? What else is next? Did the coffee, did the candles, I got tea coming out later. Then I got the comic book. I love cartoons. I love superheroes. I love Marvel, DC, and Milestone Comics. They don't get a lot of praise, but they were the first black comic that came out in the 90s. And that's where Static Shock comes from. For all the nerds that's listening, Static Shock, was one of the main characters from the Milestone universe that got inverted into DC. So to go back to what I was talking about, I think just reinventing yourself just comes with what you like, and then trying to find ways to deliver that to the world. And because you have to remain like internally happy when you're creating. And I think that just always births and plants a seed for something new.
Okay, so you're not one of those artists that feel you have to suffer to create art.
Oh, I mean, suffering is a part of the process. You don't have to suffer.
Okay.
But I know, the struggle is real. I believe when you do struggle, when you go through the pledge process of life, you end up having to go through the failed clutches of circumstances, and you just got to figure out how do I overcome. Some people have it easy, and they may have a successful career, but the ones I know that cut their teeth, sleeping in the car. Like I used to go to gigs and sleep in my car, and just to get there, I used to overdraw my bank account back in the day just to get to the gig and make $150 and put it back and then stack the cash over the weekend. Like a lot of those moments, I was happy I was able to do it just to figure it out. But everybody doesn't have to go through that. Everybody doesn't have that story. But I'm thankful that I was able to go through that and get to where I am now, because it makes me appreciate it a whole lot more.
Okay. So how do you know when an idea is worth turning into a song or project?
When I can't sit still. When I'm like, I gotta do something right now. There's an internal tug that pulls me to either pick up my horn or go into the studio and record the idea. How long it takes to create the song. It could be 12 hours. It could be 4 weeks, because I may not feel it. I was working on a song last night. The feeling hit me and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be great. And then I got about halfway through and it wasn't lining up for me. But one thing I try to do when I have that emotion, I try to capture that on tape, and I try to capture the audio, like recording in the studio, because a lot of the times I lose that level of energy and desire, and it doesn't feel the same when I play it later on. So I end up a lot of times keeping that first take, even though it may have some mistakes. I can tweak those, and then what ends up happening is that, all right, I keep that first take because I captured the emotion. Yeah.
Okay. So when people hear Marcus Anderson, of course, they probably think of the saxophone, but your shows are bigger than that. So what are you trying to make the audience feel when you walk on stage?
It's so many different elements. I studied a lot of people growing up. Like my mom and dad used to have me watch a lot of James Brown and Jackie Wilson and Motown, like anything from that. And I watched a lot of great performers like Prince and Michael Jackson and Usher and Chris Brown. Like just growing up, I have all those elements in me. I'm a dancer, I'm a choreographer, I'm a vocalist, I'm an instrumentalist. I play sax, flute, and piano and bass and all that. I don't do all of that on stage, but the ones that I do and do well, I try to deliver to the people. And to me, whenever I have that platform, it's very important that I give good energy and I think my best effort. So I'll play flute, I'll sing, and I'll have a talking moment to where I'll bring it to a very positive place, because sometimes the world, is crazy, and I want people to forget about what's happening in the world. I want people to feel like they came and they got something. Like when you go to a church service, you go get a word, you get fed. I want to feed the people when I'm on stage, and I want people to feel great. Like, man, that was a great concert. They may come back and see me again, or they may not, but I want them to say they took something from that and it helped them to get through their day in their life.
Okay, well, we're going to head back to music, but I want to remind the audience that they can hear you live at the John Coltrane International Jazz and Blues Festival coming up the 5th and 6th of September in High Point, North Carolina. So we're headed back to music right now. Keep your dials on WNCU 90.7 FM. You're listening to WNCU, the Triangle's only station for jazz and more. I'm DL, and I have a very special guest in the studio this afternoon, the one and only Marcus Anderson. And you just heard his tune, Cup of Joe. Now listen, Marcus, when did you realize you could build businesses and creative projects around your music rather than just relying on performing?
I don't know. I think I was just studying a lot of people growing up, and I believe it probably came from just watching them and saying, oh, I loved like just the idea of like business. Like the first wave of it was like, be a musician, become an artist, sell CDs or vinyl. And then I saw, oh, this person has wine. Oh, this person has, Johnny Walker. This person has cookies. This person has that. I'm like, well, I should probably do that one day. And when I saw that, and when I came out with my coffee line, I ended up just thinking like, all right, let me just see where this thing could go. And then the coffee kind of was the start of the empire I was able to build with, all of my products. But just maybe just studying people like, Dave Koz was one of my mentors. Prince, of course, was one of my mentors. Walter Beasley is one of my mentors. And all of them, to name a few, they all have great business acumen and mindsets of like being more than just a musician. Back to that thing we talked about earlier. What happens if, I don't play music? How do I make money outside of music and royalties and stuff? And it's off of your brand. When you walk out and people see you, you got to dress the part. Prince would always say, do I like, wearing slacks all the time? Do I like dressing up? Not really. I'm a t-shirts and shorts guy. I don't understand when I walk out, I see me as just Marcus. People see me as Marcus Anderson, the artist, the brand. So I'm mindful of that, and I try to represent it well. So I'll dress up, I'll put the glasses on, the hats and stuff, but because it's part of the brand. So if you understand branding and how it works, and people listen with their eyes, you gotta just continue to do that at an excellent level. I always have to put on like a 3-piece suit, but just look nice for the visuals of what people are watching.
Okay, well, that segues into my next question, which is, what is something Prince taught you that has nothing to do with music?
So much. Outside of fashion and understanding the branding aspect, he always wanted us to read books and enrich our minds, know the history. He was very big on, independence and control of yourself. He was in a record deal years ago, and most people know about the deal he had with Warner Brothers, and he was unable to use his name, so he switched to the symbol. So with that, Prince always wanted us to have more in our heads outside of just like music. He wanted to have conversations about politics and, spirituality and religion, and like, why do you eat this food? Or why are you vegetarian? And why are you pescatarian? Like, why is it important to drink enough water? Like, he always told us, drink your water, drink enough water, water. And I do now. And I think that's why, I've been able to stay healthy on the road. I drink a ton of water. I drink at least a half a gallon of water a day. And since then, I've been feeling great, lost 45 pounds, in almost 2 years. And it's just been great. And that's from, the health and wealth that Prince taught us outside of just being on stage.
Okay. And those are very valuable lessons. So, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. So, when it comes to music, how did you learn to embrace jazz, R&B, funk, soul, pop, and rock without feeling that you had to choose one in particular?
I'm kind of all over the place too, so I guess it fits to what I do. It helps keep me focused, believe it or not. It's a lot of different styles and genres, but I feel like it made me versatile. One thing I knew when I was here at school, Mr. Thomas and Dr. Wiggins, or Dr. Thomas and Dr. Wiggins, and Dr. Horde and Branford, they always wanted me to be diverse. Dr. Holly was really, really good about speaking about that to me as well. And I just always wanted to not be stuck in a situation where I couldn't do the job. So being able to double on flute and sax, and being able to sing, and being able to do all these things, I just want to be as diverse as possible. So all these different genres, like to be able to play the styles, like Dr. Wiggins, like hammered down, like you gotta not play like this. You gotta be able to control when you walk into this room that you don't sound like an R&B player. You gotta be able to not sound like a classical player when you're in this room, to be able to code switch musically. Okay. And I was very, very thankful for that. I'm not gonna, play a Johnny Walker style song, on a standard. It's befitting for that moment. So my job is always to be as diverse as possible. Like I did a show a couple of days ago with Nige at Cocoa Booth, and it was kind of like a funk R&B song. So I was able to code switch, but that was a hybrid between funk, jazz, and R&B, and it fit perfect. But I can't do that if I come here and I play with the big band. I can, but you'll notice the stylistic difference. So I have to, just be versatile, as versatile as possible.
Okay. And that's super, super important for aspiring musicians to kind of keep in mind as they get ready to launch their careers. So when you were a student here, what's something you wish that someone had taught you or given you that you're now trying to give to this next generation?
I think the understanding of like what's really out there in the world, and it's not just here at NCCU. I think it's just across the board. A lot of people don't understand that the industry and the business is really 10 to 20% music, and the rest is like business and who you are as a person. You It's great to be likable. It's great to be able to go into a room and network, and understanding like that networking is very important. The music side, people have hired me just based off of the vibe and the energy of hanging out versus like what I can play and do. Like, getting the gig is one thing, but keeping the gig is something else. So being a great person that people like to be around, don't be a jerk, like don't be late, don't be, you know, missing, cues and stuff. Like just do a good job. But like that's part of it. But like who you are just as a person matters more than anything else. There's so many musicians that just aren't likable, that lose opportunities because of that. Now sometimes they're so skilled that people overlook it, but you still have put yourself into like a short or small pool of opportunities you can get. But you want people fighting after you. You want to be so high in demand that you can raise your price up. Then you don't have to stay gone 175 dates a year. You don't have to stay gone. You can actually minimize it. Oh, I can do 50 dates a year, paying me X amount of money, and I still get the time to be home with my family and my daughters and play golf as much as I want.
All right. So again, I am speaking with Marcus Anderson this afternoon, and he is going to be at the High Point Jazz Festival, the John Coltrane International Jazz and Blues Festival, coming up in High Point on September 5th and 6th. So we just want you to keep those dials here. Performing will be Lettucey, Marcus Anderson, Mike Phillips, Surreal Ami, Adam Hawley, Anthony Crawford, and Ravi Coltrane. You're listening to WNCU. You're listening to WNCU, the Triangle's only station for jazz and more. That was Marcus Anderson with Keep Hanging On. And Marcus is in the studio with us this afternoon right now. And, Marcus, Al, our operations director, showed me this video of you on a plane along with Dave Kaz and friends playing on a plane during a flight delay.
Yeah.
What happened? So
we were having a rough start to the tours, the Dave Kaz and Friends Summer Horns tour. And on that tour, I'm one of the featured artists. It's me, Jeff Bradshaw, my twin brother Marcel Anderson, Evan Taylor, and Leo P, Barry sax player. Great massive horn section. We play a lot of originals, and then we play a lot of horn classics. So on this tour, we're traveling, we've been having delays. We had to postpone 2 shows because of weather and flight delays. This ended up being one of those delays. We were going, somehow we had a direct flight, but somehow we had to stop in Boise, Idaho or something like that. And we sat on the plane. We were sitting there for 2 or 3 hours. It was insane. And I forget who it was, but one of the band guys said, let's just play. They asked the flight attendant, they were great. They ended up saying, all right, you guys, you can play your horns or whatever. So we took the phone out, and I was like, this is going to go viral. I told Dave that, I was trying to keep Dave, in a very positive mindset. And when stuff is happening, I understand as a leader, it can be stressful, but he didn't phase, but I just spoke that. So I said, hey man, we're going to go viral after we finish the video. We played Stevie Wonder's, You Haven't Done Nothing, da, 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 da. And we played on tour too. And when I posted it, when we finally took off and we got to Seattle, 12:30 a.m. By the time I posted it and by the time we landed, we were already at 200,000 views.
Oh, wow.
So I said, Dave, we're probably going to be at 700,000, close to 1 million by morning. He said, no way. By the time I wake up, NBC, Good Morning America, Associated Press, all these networks were in my inbox and emailing me wanting to have an interview about this viral moment. Right now, the video is at 4.9 million views just on Instagram, probably another 5 million on Facebook and wherever else it's been shared 1 million times. So that's what happened. We played, we saw, and we conquered, but we weren't actually in the air. we were actually on the tarmac, kind of stuck, sitting there for hours, and but it appeared, I guess, that we were flying, but we weren't. We were actually grounded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That'd be reckless of us.
All right. So we have you about to perform live here in the studio for us this afternoon. So what tune are you playing for us?
I know we talked about No Worries earlier, and if I can remember how to play it, I'll play that. I'll attempt to play that one a cappella.
Okay.
That's one of my songs. I think it was on my Style Meets Substance album.
I like that.
Thank you. That was an abbreviated, airy, altered version
of No Worries. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
And stay right here. Marcus Anderson, he is performing at the 15th Annual John Coltrane International Jazz and Blues Festival, September 5th and 6th, Oak Hollow Festival Park in High Point. That was 85 to 95 music from Marcus Anderson, who's been hanging out with us during Afternoon Jazz today. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention again that he is performing at the John Coltrane International Jazz and Blues Festival, September 5th and 6th at Oak Hollow Festival Park in High Point, North Carolina. So, Marcus, any words of advice for students who, you know, maybe have a similar talent and ability as you, but they just haven't taken it to the next level yet? They haven't matriculated through the university yet.
Yeah, just, you know, push through. I mean, it's not easy just across the board to make a career in anything, but anyone that's trying to go into the entertainment field, if they've been able to listen through the interview, I'm hoping that the takeaway is that you just got to push and do the things you like, you know, be happy. Focus on your desires and what you want, not know so much of like anyone else. You know, you can have aspirations to be like something or to at least like aspire to be, you know, maybe like a Michael or Prince or James Brown even, or just a business mogul, or you can be different pieces of that. But just follow your heart, trust your gut, you know, pray, drink a lot of water, and get rest. Don't and take it easy, you know, really take it easy. Get off, you know, like I said, you know, you can get on the internet, but don't let the internet get in you, and just kind of stay off it. Go for a walk, read books, you know, detach from that, and then you should really be okay.
All right. Well, you have one more song you're sharing with us this afternoon. So tell us a little bit about it before you.
Yeah, I was going to go and just play like a jazz standard, you know, what I used to play here when I was at NCCU. Haven't figured out which one. I'm thinking either Softly as the Morning Sunrise or in a Sentimental Mood. In a Sentimental Mood. I think I'd play that, and yeah, I'll do that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're ready to hear it.
Yeah, I haven't played in a while, so that'll be a little bit easier for me.
Thank you so much for that.
No, thank you.
All right. And so Marcus has been hanging out with us this afternoon. He is again performing at the 15th Annual John Coltrane International Jazz and Blues Festival. And we have some tickets that you can win, but we're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes. All right. But just write down this number, 919-560-9628, and you and a friend could be going to the High Point 15th Annual John Coltrane International Jazz and Blues Festival. But I'll tell you when to call. Is there anything else you want to tell our listeners, Marcus, before you head out?
Yeah. Take walks, sit in the sun, drink a lot of water, drink coffee. preferably mine. But just enjoy life. Don't stress about stuff. Life happens, but you just gotta focus on the positive. Always think positive, and positive things will find you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell them where to find you on social media and your website.
Okay, if you follow me on all of my social media platforms, Manderson Sax, as M Anderson SAX. You can actually follow my festival at May J's Fest. So May J's Fest, Marcus Anderson Jazz and Coffee Escape Fest on Instagram and Facebook. And you can go and find my website, marcusanderson.net. It has all of my information on there. You can get connected to my festival through that website. But that's mayjays.net, marcusanderson.net, or andproducts.net. I have a whole bunch of stuff going on. Well, it's so much. But if you go to marcusanderson.net, you can find all of my worlds on there.
All right. Well, thank you for hanging out on the Afternoon Jazz Show. I've enjoyed the conversation. I've learned a lot, and I hope you've enjoyed your time with us, too.
I have. I can't wait to come back. Actually, can I move in? I got some luggage in the car.
You know, I haven't moved in my office yet. We can let you hang out there.
All right, that's cool. Just give me a closet. That's all I need. Stand-up bed.
All right, we're going to close this thing out with music from Marcus Anderson. Farewell. We're 90.7. Stay here.